Sir Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. I'm proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast, more than just a podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is more than just a podcast. Season 12, episode 13. No George Buchin tonight, but his father is here. John, where are you? What are you doing?
I'm at home speaking to yous.
Yeah. And your newfound fame. More of that later. Infamous. Canning Town Lamb, where are you? What are you doing?
Good evening. I am at home doing a podcast with you just after a day of film editing.
Have you been in The Guardian and the Daily Mail in the last few days?
No, I've been in the garden now in the pub.
John, you've been in The Guardian and the Daily Mail in the last few days?
Apparently so, yeah.
More of that later. We are expecting Shebman, but at the moment, no Shebman. He works for a living and sometimes struggles to meet deadlines. Wonder how he's getting on with the kitchen. 2 games to discuss, so we're going to move on, and Shebman can join when he can. First of all, Brussels, Anderlecht. I know none of us went, but I'm hoping we watched the game. Should we start with you, John? Did you watch the game?
I did.
What did you think?
I thought it was okay. It was better when the substitutes were made.
Slow start, though, yeah?
Yeah, it was a slow start. And
was he right to rest some of his players and start with maybe a slightly weaker team?
Well, ultimately, yes, because he changed it about and changed the game around completely. So, yeah.
I could... Right. It's not Nigel's dog you can hear, Len, by the way.
Is it your dog?
No, it's not my dog, it's John's dog.
No, it's my dog.
Oh, is it your dog?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm the only one without a dog.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody cats.
You should go and get a dog.
I've got cats, and I own cats.
So I
Loads of them.
suppose the only difference is we won't know, because if he'd carried on, then would we have finally got there? But I don't know. Anderlecht seemed to be... Look, it was for them to win it. We would have probably suited a draw, right? We didn't need to win it. We could have taken it back to London Stadium. They seem to be trying to stop our game, or did I get that wrong, John?
Well, it was they were the strongest team in the group we were going to come across. It was for them to win it. They were a game at home. It was their opportunity to try and win it and then try and top the group and beat us. But they were clearly the strongest side that we've played so far in that.
Do you feel nervous at any time?
No, not really, because it's a long way still to go, and we've done well
right.
so far. And I would have taken the draw, and like a low scoring loss wouldn't have been the end of the world, So it wasn't nervy, and I didn't mind him starting Antonio, and it just happened that the changes were telling, weren't they? When you can bring on Rice, Skamaka, and Paquetá.
Let's talk us out some flashpoints. We'll get to Areola in a minute. First of all, have you got used to the orange, white and orange top yet? Or is it still...
No, I hate it.
No.
You still hate it. Do you know what? It's growing on me a little bit.
Good.
I'll start with a stat attack, because I know you love a stat. 56% possession to West Ham away from home, 44 for Anderlecht. We had 18 shots, 3 on target. They had 12 shots, 2 on target. We had 7 corners to their 6. We committed 14 fouls to their 17. So, good to see shots and maybe only just 1 more on target. But I don't know. I never thought they were really in it. I never saw them scoring, really.
Well, they had spells, didn't they? And obviously I mean, the outstanding save by Areola.
Well, let's talk about that. Come on.
That was incredible.
It was, wasn't it? He had. I think someone said at the time he had no right in saving that, and I make them right.
It was incredible save. And he's clearly a very good shot stopper, isn't he?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it would be harsh to say maybe you should start in the Premier League.
well, when we come up to the next game, maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah. Ooh,
But
ooh,
yeah, I mean,
controversial.
it was impressive, and it was the substitutions changed the game, and the quality shone out.
All right. Well, let's move over to Len. Len, did you watch the game, or did you go to the game? Did you get pepper sprayed?
Don't be daft. No, I watched the game on the box. I don't remember it much.
We won 1-0.
Yeah, I remember the result.
Skamaka!
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the boy Flynn Downs played well.
Yeah,
He
he did. You're right. You're right. Obviously, he started, and with Lanzini, believe it or not. So Rice was
he didn't have the best of
rested.
games. Yeah,
Ogbonna, Soufal, Lanzini, and Downs all carded. I didn't know that until looking at the stats now. So we started with Areola, Johnson. Good to see Johnson back after his hamstring. Dawson, Ogbonna, Soufal, Lanzini, Downs, Emerson, Benrahma, Antonio, and Bowen started. Just to remind you, Len. And then on 70 minutes, Rice came on for Lanzini. Paquetá came on for Benrahma, and Skamaka came on for Antonio.
Good.
And he changed
it. Don't help me remember it, does it? You go through a fucking
it did
names.
because I mean, I'm sure you remember the goal. Paquetá really showed. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the little clip of him controlling it. I don't know what it's called. When you flick it with the other feet, the little in front of Cresswell.
Well, they were calling it a Rabona kind of thing.
It was sort of Rabona, but it wasn't.
I think it's a little bit. Yeah, it was.
It
good.
was class, and you could see.
Oh no, I'm
the
not.
Bench going.
I'm not saying that, but the way that suddenly the social media have turned their fucking tune in a week about Skamaka needs to do more, and he does one fucking flick and they're all over him.
Well, he's got 3 now goals. We don't have many. I mean,
I'm talking about
Paquetá. Yeah, Paquetá had an awful. More of this later, but I didn't think he had a great game on Sunday. But he had a good game in the week.
No, but he did though, because what you're not seeing is him moving into the space. I know there's some one-touch things going on that he's not pulling off, and they sometimes balloon and stuff like that. But I think he's more of a midfielder that you can give him a bit of time on the ball, which is what makes you think he might not be a number 10, which is the classic midfielder. But we're still talking about the game I can't remember.
Well, Skamaka scored, and obviously Paquetá got the assist from memory.
He did.
He did.
Kind of poked it through in the air.
And you know, we held on. They didn't look like scoring. Fornells came on 86 minutes for Bowen, which I didn't, maybe just to slow down the game at that point. I don't see what difference that made, but you know, it did the job. We got another 3 points. We got another €500,000. Really important. Up to £8 million we've earned from the Europa Conference League now, with TV money, coefficient money, prize money, and home gate money. 8 million. You know, that's not bad, since it's a sort of Mickey Mouse. I think it's quite an exciting league, really.
Mickey Mouse.
Well, some people would say it's a Mickey Mouse league.
I think it's going to be just as hard as the Europa League. But what I'm saying is, it's not the Europa League.
Yeah, but this is our real chance. If you look at this season, and we talk about it, it's our biggest chance of getting into Europe next year.
We could win it, yeah.
We've got 25 coefficient points, which is massive.
The moment we win it, then it will be a big fucking Mouse league, and then they'll probably get rid of the fucking league totally.
Jose Mourinho won it with Roma last year, didn't he?
I know he did,
and he was delighted. He was delighted.
I know. Well, yeah, he showed that. He's not going to look disappointed, is he?
Yeah. 17,000 people there. I think, I forget how many were West Ham fans. Do you remember what? I think it was 1,300 or something.
I know they were misbehaved.
We know lots of people. We know Stell was there. We know Dodsey was there. We know a lot of people. and they said it was largely okay. You know, Brussels welcomed them. They went in the bars, etc. But the trouble started when they went to the ground. A few wine witnesses, I'm not going to name them, but were picked off. One arrived via an Uber, and him and his mate got picked on by a Brussels skinhead who tried to beat him, but lucky enough, someone opened a gate in the Grand Lotto Park and let them in before they got beaten. You know the story, Len, so don't be letting on. And then, you know, so people who didn't come on the special train were in a bit of trouble. Then you had the game, which is fine. But then when they left, we've been sent videos of, you know, people being kettled in, even though the roads are free, even though there's no Anderlecht fans away. The police frustrated by keeping the 1,500, 300 fans back. And then what happened, I'm told, is, and the eyewitnesses tell me this, they got marched down an empty road, and then after 50 yards, they got told to stop. Now, if you've got 1,300 people and you're asked to stop, if you're at the front, you can't just stop because people can't see that and they just push forward. The Anderlecht police said they
But
were
that's
being
what
aggressive.
they do when they take us home.
Yeah,
When we
but
go
the
home to the
Anderlecht
fucking
police,
tube every home game, Sean.
the Anderlecht
But you're
police
saying
said
they
that
can't do it.
well, the
They
Anderlecht
have a big
police said they're
lollipop
being
saying stop.
yeah, I know that, but you know what? They're all
But
pissed
you're
up
just
and
saying you
everything.
can't do that.
But and then they got the pepper
They're
spray out.
tall, aren't they? They're tall lollipops.
Yeah, so
people can
yeah,
see at the back.
exactly.
Oh, right, okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
Did they
good
not
point.
have
Well done.
lollipops then, Sean?
There were no lollipops. No, there
No
was just
lollipops.
Belgian police with
Pepper spray.
pepper spray.
Well,
So you know, and apparently they just pepper sprayed people at the back. I've had two people who said, you know, some people couldn't breathe properly for a while. They had red eyes. They asked for a first aid kit for their eyes, and they said go to hospital if you got a problem. And other people just got pepper sprayed for being so slow and said stop dawdling, and they pepper sprayed them. Look, I've had enough. We ran it on 6'2", got big hits about troubles and the Belgian police.
Well, do what Liverpool were doing. Do a class action.
Well, do you know what? The FSA read the story that I wrote on troubles. Biggest story ever on 6'2", and they are going to said take it up with this European organisation. So I just think they're a bit heavy-handed. So I understand the Swiss. What are the Swiss boys called? It's a team called something boys in Swiss.
Young boys.
Young boys. The young boys faced Anderlecht in August and apparently smashed up the bars. And it got to Belgian Parliament, and Belgian Parliament said zero tolerance. We're not going to have football hooligans in here, and they said zero tolerance. And I think we were paying the price for that. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of West Ham on West Ham, according to several eyewitnesses. You know, they were fighting on the trains and the metro, and but do you know what? Sometimes you get that. Because unfortunately, and I've been to away games, people get pissed up, coked up, and everything else, and it happens, doesn't
my
it?
dad said the Belgian police were like that in '76, though. So
Yeah.
I don't think they were getting coked up then.
No, possibly not. But I saw it actually in Frankfurt at the end of the game, West Ham on West Ham. I just think, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, welcome, Shedman. So glad you could make it. What are you doing?
I'm in my shed.
Well, you're late.
Grandfather time.
I don't know what it means.
Ah,
Oh, right, okay.
I forgot her name. Hang on a minute, it will come to me.
Lottie.
No. Lottie.
Lotto Park.
No.
Not Betsy.
No.
It's old-fashioned.
It's quite near.
Karen.
No. Fuck off.
Anyway, we've just finished talking about... What do you want to say about Anderlecht versus West Ham, if anything? Because we just finished talking about it.
Good win. A game we had to win for me. Most important thing is...
We had to win it?
Yeah, the most important thing is to win the group.
Yeah, I know that, but a draw would have done.
No, because if we win now on Thursday, then we've won the group.
Yeah, I know that.
So, therefore, he can play who he likes in the next two games, yeah? Mm-hmm. And we miss out on the other two games in the playoff. We go straight into the knockout round. So actually, it gives the boys a rest for like
Yep.
4 games in theory.
Yeah.
So
I was saying, not only did we win 500,000 euros, but every win you get a coefficient point. Coefficient points matter, as we're understanding.
Yes,
the more that we
it
play
does.
in
The
Europe.
more you play in Europe, the better the coefficient point. Then the better off the pot you get put
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the European competition that you're entered in.
Yeah. Well, we've already got 900,000 euros just from the coefficient from last year. And we're still in the group stage.
Yeah, because
so
it's always about the money, Sean, isn't it?
it's always about the money. Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on?
if you like, yeah.
If you want, yeah.
Point dilly dally.
Well, let's talk about the Lily Whites.
What, Spurs?
No, the Cottagers.
Oh, right.
Before we do, we actually Len, Nigel, and myself did meet up at the supporters club. Len, did you enjoy the sports club with the music and the quiz and the
Yeah, it was all right.
and the fan zone and everything?
We were blessed with the company of Chris Kinch.
I was
which in
about to say
hindsight
that. Yeah,
is probably why we got all the good decisions.
yeah.
We asked him to have a little pray for us.
Father Chris, who's a padre. I was calling him a priest, but he's a padre in the British Army. Was on leave, so he came and met us.
And sat
What
with me
was
all
his
game.
rank? Is it colonel or something? What was his rank in the army? As a padre.
I didn't ask him about his rank.
Oh, should have done. You should have saluted him.
No, yeah, I got him to buy me a beer.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and
Oh.
Jay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we both.
And then you got me to buy you
Oh,
a
did
beer.
he buy that beer?
He bought the first. Yeah,
And then and then
thanks,
when I
Father
arrived,
Chris.
you got me
I
to
got
buy
there
another
late.
jug.
I know. You turn up, get the beers in. So
Yeah, nice one.
well done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was a great, which you shared with your
17
15-year-old boy. But we
£17
won't hold
for
that
a
against you.
£17 for a jug of
Up £2 quid.
Amstel.
Up
Is
£2
it?
quid.
No,
Well, it
£15
was
for
15
for a
Foster.
jug of Fosters though. You
Oh,
still
right.
get Fosters for 15 quid.
Oh,
but
right.
Amstel
That ain't
is 17
bad, I
quid.
suppose. That ain't bad.
How many do you reckon get in a jug? 4.
4 pints you get.
There you go. That's not bad, is it?
You know how I know that, Sean?
Go on.
They're called 4-pint jugs.
Good point, well made.
Anyway.
Now I split up from you, but the reason I mentioned supporters club is we left it. I don't usually leave it this late, but I left it to our past because Nigel was gabbing on, and we went to Bridge 5, and there was a massive queue. How fast did you get through? Which queue did we chose? A good queue.
Well, me and Chris made kick-off. And
Did
bear
you?
in mind, we had to queue through Turnstile C,
Oh, did
as
you?
well. Yeah.
Well, we got through. Finley picked a queue that he thought was moving. It did move fast. We got through in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when we got to C, it was still like, I don't know, 1:45. And it was only 2 minutes to get through C. And so we were there in plenty of time.
Yeah, we were in our seat. I was surprised, actually, because when I got to Bridge,
Oh,
I went to Chris.
awful.
Ooh, never stood this far back,
Yeah,
Chris.
me too. But
Oh, I do every game.
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
do you
No,
know what
never
they were
near
doing
the
in the
terracing.
end? The closer it got to kick off,
Just wave you through, innit?
yeah, they were just waving you through. In fact, when they did right, they just waved the wand, right, only at the front.
Yeah.
Well, didn't do the back. Didn't do it really very well.
I don't get, right, honestly, what they're doing now. For the life
Well,
of
they're
it.
trying
And
to
actually,
be-
what they should do is, because where I park my car, I have to walk round the stadium. So I'd already been wanted to go round the stadium and then
Yeah.
walk back out again.
Should
They
have
could
a
give me a
badge.
little ticket
Yeah.
to say, been through once, mate, can I go,
But
I suppose I could have
But
gone
they
out
also don't-
picked up a different, strap to bomb
50%
to me.
they look at Finley and they go, "How old are you?" He's 15, and of course they go through.
Yeah.
He could be carrying anything. A terrorist
Yeah.
will do anything. But hopefully, a terrorist. No, they won't say that. Just turn up just before
No, but
kickoff.
what do other football clubs do that are street based?
I don't know. There are some arches for like Chelsea and where you have to
I've
go.
not been searched like that at Chelsea.
Yeah, I have.
Well,
at
at the
Chelsea.
away end,
The
you
away
do. You
end
go
at
through.
Chelsea.
They'll have actually. They will have the.
Southampton, of course, where we went last year.
That's true. Yeah,
Do you remember? They searched
Yeah.
us there.
they did. But
So-
with away fans, it's easy to do, it. They just stand
Yeah.
in front of the away
But
teams.
you're
All I'm
right.
saying
I
is,
don't know
for
where they
home
do it for home
fans,
fans.
I've not seen it. I'm at Southampton away in the league game. I walked round to see Ian Wiley.
It's a good
and
point.
I didn't see at stadiums. I'm trying to think. I don't think when I've been in the home end, in any other stadiums, I've had searches like that. It's
Anyway, we made the game. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the game.
Yeah.
It's not a security podcast.
No.
John, I hope
Well-
you watched it after all this.
I did watch it. Yeah,
Yeah. The Cottagers or the Lily Whites?
the Cottagers.
They are called the Lily Whites as well, aren't they?
Got no idea. I would call them. I don't know them as the Lily Whites ever.
Really? Have a look.
Okay.
Google. I'm going to check
Google
just to
it,
make
that'll be
sure it's right. Anyway.
Well, actually.
Oh, it
yeah.
is. Look, there is. The Cottagers'
The
nicknames. The
Cottagers,
Cottagers, the Whites, and the Lily
or
Whites.
the Lily Whites.
There you
yeah.
go.
There you
Not
go.
very football like. the Lily
Founded
Whites.
in
Funny, I saw it the other day.
1879, 143 years ago, as the St Andrews Cricket and Football Club. True story, bro.
Oh,
Brilliant, Sean.
Sean's on Wiki.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they were talking about, who was it who was saying, I'm a football fan and I don't know any proper Fulham fans.
I don't know.
Do you know Fulham fans,
What?
John?
Well, we knew the Pills.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, Dean and Lee Pill. They're definitely Fulham fans. But
I've
I
got a
can't
mate,
think.
my mate Steve.
Yeah?
He's a Fulham fan. Tom used to work with me.
What is it?
Fulham
Because he's
fan.
got a connection to Fulham in some way.
I don't know. I never asked them.
Oh, ask next time. Anyway,
Okay, I will. Yeah.
let's talk about the game.
I know
We
quite a
won
few,
it
actually, when I
3-1, by
think
the way.
about it.
Huh?
I know quite a few when I think about
Oh,
it.
yeah. Good. Ask them why they support Fulham.
Right,
Pretty
I've got
sure
a
wants
quick
to know.
tenuous link. West
Oh, go
Ham
on.
and Fulham.
There'll be more.
No. This is going to be really
Go
tenuous,
on.
and it's quite funny in a way. So the cottage was in the grounds of Bishop's Park,
Right.
Bishop's Palace, where, fun enough, the company I work for, we look after the security there. So it's a great place to look
It's not a
round.
security podcast, which is
No, I know that. I was just saying that we look after the palace, and it's great to visit the palace. But the palace was also the genuine home of a certain Anne
Boleyn.
Boleyn.
Oh, is that true?
That is true.
more so
Unlike,
than ours.
unlike
Yeah.
ours, that was built after she'd already had her head cut off.
Yeah, true.
So,
Anyway, let's start with a stat, because I know you love a stat, John. 50-50 on possession. Lovely, nice down the middle. We had 17 shots, 8 on target. They had 8 shots, 2 on target. We had 4 corners. They had 2. They fouled 7 times. We fouled 9 times. Discuss.
Well, we also had all the luck this time, and
Well, did we have the luck, though?
well, sort of,
Let's talk about the goals, right? So we got off to a poor start, and
we started slowly.
who'd you blame? Zuma?
I don't blame anyone.
Or
We
would you
just started-
blame
We started slowly.
Fabianski?
We started right off it. Fabianski should have saved the goal.
Oh, well, I've heard that. People said he should have done better, but
Nigel, what do you reckon?
no, I don't go with the should have. I'll go with the could have.
it was a good goal, let's be honest. It came
Yeah.
out of the blue against the run of play, really.
How?
But could Azuma closed him down better? Who is it? Pereira, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He
He's
got
fast,
through,
isn't he, Pereira?
but
he's
Fabianski was flopping his hands at fresh air before the ball even got to him. Having seen the Areola display in midweek, it was like, is it going to be time soon for him to be starting?
So, moving on, they hit the crossbar. David Moyes calls it a turning point, that they hit the crossbar. It could have been easily 2-0 because they'd beaten Fabianski. And he reckons that West Ham only got into gear among that. Now, the incident with Craig Dawson, I'd like to know what you saw on the box, John, because it was right in front of us in the West Stand. And we were shouting. I mean, the referee just seemed to lose control. But what we saw was, he puts his hands on Dawson, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but it was the 4th time that he did it before the penalty. Now, I know a few people have said, You know, he played for it. Dawson played for that and went down too easily. He won a penalty. He used his experience to win a penalty. What way did you see it?
Well, I can see a bit of that in there, but also Pereira. And there was at one point on one of the second time they went, I think it was, there was like two of them literally running into him without
Yeah, there
looking at the
was.
ball.
Yeah, there was. We were
And
shouting and
it was
going,
just,
"Oh!"
they were just stupid,
It
and
was
he was
stupid.
clever.
If I was a Fulham fan, I'd be furious at our players.
Yeah, it's
And the-
honestly, you
And they
just like
surrounded the ref when the penalty was given. I couldn't get it. They
the
surrounded
ref
the ref.
told them, the ref,
Yeah,
and they
warned
did.
them.
But it was time when on the telly, time and time again, they were taking him out without looking at the ball or even having any
Yeah.
interest of what was going on. They were had their eyes on him all the time and running into him. That's a foul.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's just
Moyes and Dermot Gallagher make you right, John, and say, yeah, it was. You know, he didn't play the ref.
it was a good decision.
It was a good decision. It was a penalty.
So that one, I don't
Obviously,
see as any luck. That was
Bowen. Did you have worries about when Bowen stood up for it? Did
I
you?
wasn't worried.
No,
But
at least it
I was
wasn't. If it
interested.
would have been, if it was Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck me,
I
yeah.
didn't know whether Skamaka should take it, but you know, Bowen seems to have the confidence. At
Is
the
it
moment.
Bowen now going to be taking
It looks
going
like
forward?
it. He's taken the last two.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good pen, and yeah, it was good to get
So-
like, equal. And
We move on. Obviously, Skamaka was on fire, misses a few chances.
he did miss a few
He did trio actually of chances.
good chances.
And then he lobs the keeper. I forget the keeper. What's his name? Leno or something
Leno.
like that? Yeah. He lobs the keeper. Doesn't celebrate.
I think he thought he was offside.
Well, I assume he did.
I didn't have any concern at the time when he scored that there was any. Didn't even know there was any talk about a handball.
Well, nor did I. So, I mean, obviously you can't see it, but from that end. But, you know, offside, a few people saying, is it on? And I was asking on WhatsApp group.
Well, when it was not
And
offside,
then
I
it
thought
went
that's
to
goal, and then it
handball.
went to handball.
And again,
Oh, God.
Nigel got his stopwatch out. How long was it, Nigel?
2.5 minutes from when I looked at it to
People
when the
reported
decision.
3 minutes on
Well-
media, but that might have been them rounding up.
Well, they did
Yeah.
look at it a lot.
Yeah,
And I think what they were looking for to see whether the ball diverted.
they were looking for a reason to disallow it.
The
Yeah.
Fulham manager, is it Silver, complained that
Went
the
ballistic.
referee should have looked at it on the screen to waste even more time. He said he should have seen it and it would have been a handball. Dermot Gallagher says no, it was not a handball. It may have touched his hand, but there was no intent there. And
His
And
hand
it
was
didn't
down by his
divert.
side, wasn't it?
It was, but it does touch it. You can see
Close to
from
the
this.
body. But
Well, you
Yeah.
can't see it from the ball.
does it, Sean?
It does,
touch-
yeah. When you see it,
But
it
can
does.
you? I mean,
It's very
if you're
close. I mean, it's probably too close to call.
I
whether-
see one angle where it does not anywhere near his hand,
Yeah.
but there's another angle, and all you can see is the ball move. You can't see it touch his hand, but the ball
Yeah,
does.
the ball doesn't divert in
yeah,
the
but
line.
the
it's going
spin,
on,
no, yeah, the spin changes, which makes it look like he's touched the ball. But can you kind of give that if you don't see someone? If you're
Yeah.
looking for 2.5
Well-
minutes and you don't see the ball touch the hand,
If you go on 6'2", there's some screenshots there, and there's
well, that's
Gallagher,
handy. A fucking screenshot.
and we'll talk
You can
about
see the
it.
ball spinning that.
It's
Why
sort
didn't you
of
just embed the video into the article as well?
I could do. It grazes his sort of elbow, is what it does. But what?
Oh, fucking good. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna give these fucking if these Fulham fans and anyone else booing up about anything about the last two goals, it ended up in the fucking net after calamitous defending as well. So before you look at the handballs, is it or not, and we're boring ourselves to shit about VAR again, you need to look at really. If the ball doesn't go in the net, we don't even talk about that. And
Yeah.
you got 50-odd thousand people in there who didn't see it either. All right, most
Yeah.
of them didn't want to see it. But, you know, we're standing there not knowing what's going on. And
Well,
it's
Dermot,
not...
I'm just going to read what Dermot Gallagher says right on this one. Many say it touched his hand, but I say it touches his hand with the way the ball travels down. I certainly think it touches his hand on the way down. It was a difficult call. He studied it. He didn't just look at it and throw it away. It took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. There you go.
There you
So
go.
no one can criticise him for not being due diligent.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
think
true.
it's the first one that touches the hand because the ball goes straight down. So he's saying that if it touches the hand, it had no.
Take VAR out of it. Right?
Yeah.
Go back a few years.
Yeah.
Would anybody have
Say that
screamed
as
about that
No.
goal?
No.
No. And
No.
and this is, and for me, this is another problem with it. Is now all these, but I couldn't believe there were West Ham fans sort of going, yeah, them too. Them's the breaks. We've been robbed in the past, so that's what happens. And you think, no, that ain't what happened, mate, because we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And Danny Murphy's a prick.
Yeah, he didn't.
All right,
He wasn't
I
convincing,
saw
was
that.
he?
Ex-Fulham FC midfielder.
Yeah.
What did he do? What was this on?
Oh, that he
He
said
claimed
it was
Fulham
robbed.
should have won 1-0 because
Yeah.
the first goal weren't a penalty. He
And the other
dissected
two.
all three. Yeah,
Not
the other
just
two were
Murphy,
handball.
it was someone else as well with him.
Well, no,
They all
Dion
finished up
Dublin
in the
was a bit
fucking net.
embarrassed. Yeah,
Dublin.
yeah, but
So
Well, the penalty, when it was given, Dawson had his arm in his head at the same
he
time
did.
as he was.
He did.
So, that's what I say. I think-
There's
think
also
look,
But we were lucky because we've had it go against us so many
Yeah, we
times.
have.
You see it. I'm kind of looking at these things, expecting it to go against us. So
Yeah.
you could say Dawson runs into him,
good to.
yeah, but Dawson's entitled to run where he wants. The
Exactly.
bloke, if the bloke had kept his arms down and Dawson runs into him, I don't think it's a pen. But the
Yeah.
thing is, at the same, and this is, people slow it down and in slow mo.
Exactly, yeah, and
Change
try and change it.
slow-mo, yeah. Oh,
And
look,
what they're
look, look, look.
forgetting, Nigel, what they're not realising, you're standing there watching and you're saying, and everyone's saying, what's that fucking idiot think he's
Yeah.
doing? It's ridiculous. And
The ref, the ref don't get a slow mo.
Yeah, the
no,
ref's
of
seen
course
it,
he don't.
bang.
It's just seeing
Called it straight
stupidity
away.
in front of him.
How it should be.
So before we overanalyze it, let's go to the last one with John, and then we're going to move on to you.
Mate, honestly, the last one, I didn't know there was any controversy about
Well,
it.
he handballed it. He did handball it. But you know why? And
Apparently it's a
myself-
second phase
Yeah,
because he
so
come
it's
back out. They made the
absolutely-
fucking dog's dinner of it, and we put it in there. They're a fucking shambles.
Well,
If
get
you were,
this, though.
if you're going your team battling relegation and you're hoping for stuff like that against you, when you defend like you know what, and the ball goes in net 3 times, you're not gonna fucking expect to get any points.
Well, the funny thing is, I say funny thing, if he'd scored on the first one, it would have been ruled out for handball. But according to Dermot Gallagher, it's a second phase because what happened is he handballed it, he hit the keeper, it rebounded, it touched a Fulham defender. At that point, it's considered by referees of resetting play,
yeah,
and
well,
then he scored on the rebound.
yeah,
so
they're
that's
over-
how.
they're overthinking it as well. The rule makers, silly fucking rules, silly fucking way of implementing them.
I don't know if you saw it, but I wrote a story on 6'2" about this today. Neither, and this is a very sad thing, neither Scamacca or Mikel Antonio celebrated their goals when they scored. They only celebrated when they knew it was a goal.
yeah, the Scamacca's goal was very flat because of the way
Yeah, it
he
was very
stopped.
strange, yeah,
Yeah, it was like
we thought we missed the whistle.
He
Yeah.
thought he was.
yeah. So it was just. But then when the goal's given 2.5 minutes later, he does his normal run round, jump in front of the fans, and I'm sorry. When they give the goal, you just go, yeah.
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 As the modern fans, you're not going to get limbs. I know that's a nice modern thing for the social media people. that
Yeah,
show.
away days they go limbs.
we got to have
limbs
limbs.
for you. Yeah,
You know,
limbs.
so
I think.
I don't know.
What
it's
do you
just-
know? I don't know if you read the story, but I wrote a story about Scamacca's. I tried to do a bit of research because no one. I asked the club.
I don't
right?
read Claret and you anymore, Sean.
No, I'm talking about 6'2".
Oh, sorry.
I wrote a story
I
about.
don't read fucking any of it.
Well, you should, John.
Oh,
Especially the comments of that picture, mate. Wait till we
I
get
read-
to slaughter you.
I wrote a story about Scamacca's.
he put that on there, did he?
Yeah, of course it did.
Oh,
We'll talk about that later. I wrote a story about goal celebration Scamacca because I don't know if you see, but he puts his hand behind his ear. So I asked the club and I said, "Do you know?" And they went, "No, we don't know." So I asked head of the media, no. asked some other people, asked X, asked everybody. No one seems to know. And some people, then I put it on Twitter, and some people go, "Oh, well, he's just proving West Ham fans wrong." And I went, "No, because he did this in Italy, right? This is not a West Ham thing. He used to do this in where did he come from? Sudoku,
Sassuolo.
Yeah.
Sudoku.
Sudoku,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just north of Naples.
Yeah, he used to do that in Italy. So someone then said, "Oh, it's his hero was Ivan Ivanovic. Was it Ivanovic? What's his name? Who's the striker?
Yeah, Eisenbich.
It's not Ivanovic, is it?
No, it is.
Um,
Well, you've gone through about 4 names there.
And and he said
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic. That's the
Right,
one.
okay.
It was him, and it was in homage to him. But,
Ivan Ibrahimovic.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And then apparently it's about FIFA because there's a FIFA celebration. He's a big FIFA fan, the game, and it was. But actually, the most plausible story came from West Ham's Italy official supporters club, and they should know. And apparently, the
Martella
celebration.
d'Italia.
That's it. They came
Yeah.
back, and what do they reckon it is?
It's because he was told as a kid he wouldn't make it as a footballer.
It was no, it was actually in to his fellow countrymen because they don't think he's good enough to play for Italy national team. And every time he scored, he
Gives it the ear.
apparently he gives it the ear to say, "Look,
Listen,
I am good enough for Italy."
That does make me chuckle, actually, because I don't know if you remember, obviously. I think when we signed him, an Italian cafe owner told my uncle that he didn't think he scored enough goals.
Yes. Well, he scored 3 and 3. I mean, you can't get better than that. And
So,
I spoke
Well,
to
you can.
you can.
Well,
Haaland
yeah, you
is
can.
better than
Just,
that.
But you could be.
Yeah,
you
let's
could
look
be
at Haaland's record.
He's a robot. I mean, the bloke is just unbelievable. But I
Still not as good as Jimmy Greaves, though, but go on.
I spoke to 2 senior sources in the week, and both of them said, Skamaka's the real deal. At last, we've got our striker. And I don't know if they're being too...
That's a change, isn't it? Because at the beginning of the season, there was people questioning him, weren't there? Sean?
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
getting-
there was. But
And then
now,
also
and then they're saying
Downs
they're
as
giving
well,
all
people
credit to the
questioning
manager and
Downs.
saying,
No.
you know, he's got this one right. You know.
So instead of third time lucky, it's like 53rd time lucky.
Well, that's right. And I hope. Look, these goals will give strikers thrive on confidence, and I hope we see him putting his hand behind the ear. You know, there's no reason why he can't score again on Thursday, and then again at Southampton. So good luck to him. Anyway, that was you, John. Len, sorry if we nicked everything. What is there to
No.
say about the Lily
I've
Whites?
I've said that I've given it a bit of math, so I won't worry about it, Sean.
All right, and you, Chef Man.
You thought, you thought, Sean, that Qatar had a bad game, and I
did,
didn't.
yeah.
I thought he
What?
made a, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I thought he got dispossessed quite a lot on Sunday.
Oh, right.
And I thought
Give the ball away a lot, did he, Sean?
he did, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. I'll talk. Go on, okay.
And I just didn't think he played the same kind. I just didn't think he
You
was.
aren't getting confused with Declan Rice, are you?
No, I'm not.
Because
I'm
he
not.
did.
I know Declan Rice didn't have a good
Everyone's
game
ignoring the
easy.
poster boy, but he hasn't a good season at
I
all.
just look. It's my opinion. It's about opinions, and
And
I
the
didn't
less
think-
said about superfluous check, the better.
Oh, you don't like Souček, do you?
Well, he's superfluous. There's no room for there's no point to him in
Would
the
you have
team.
started Downs then?
Yeah, I would, but I'd also like to point out that if you just took him out the team, and I think Paqueta can play the bit deeper, or rather than talk about Paqueta behind the front two, make him in front of Declan Rice, you'd have more pressure on Declan Rice, him being the £100 million player, and there's more room for Paqueta to do more of his magic. And then you can even think about having someone else more central, I don't know, like the hard-working Fornals maybe. But what you're seeing Souček doing time after time is running up and down the pitch between boxes, getting in the way now of even Dawson at one end and Paqueta at the other. And sometimes he's literally bumping into them without even getting the ball. And it's just, I don't blame him. I blame the Scottish twat on the fucking bench for picking him because he can't be the right choice in every game from, I don't know, Kidderminster to Manchester City. Can't be the same back. You're playing this two in midfield, deep in midfield. It's completely unnecessary. I will say though that's the only thing he's not doing now because he is playing the fair players and he is playing Skamaka now. So it's not as bad as it was. But I think every single person saw it on Sunday, and you can hear from the response, the reaction to him getting the ball or losing the ball in the crowd. You got to take him out of the firing line. You seriously got to take him out of the firing line and put him in the Euro team or something. Be a second captain if you like. But I just do not understand why he's zooming up and down, and working hard but being anonymous. It's got to change, innit?
Good point. Well, mate. Nigel, go on. You're going to rip my Paquetá assassination apart.
Me and Chris Kinch were sitting there watching the game together, and I think we agreed. I said, "Is it Paquetá is misplacing passes, or is he so far better than what our players are that actually they're not reading what he's doing?" Yeah, no, and bear with me.
That happened. I would say that happened a couple of times.
Yeah,
Rice at one point he stepped over it or something and let it go, and Rice was nowhere near it. He was going the other way or something.
And he played the ball in sort of certain areas, expecting the West Ham player to be there, because possibly when he plays with Brazil, they are there. Yeah, and the West Ham player hasn't read the pass, so
It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, that actually we need to grow into playing. If we can play up to Paquetá standard, we'll be an even better team. Because for me, he was head and shoulders the best midfielder out there.
Yeah.
I see the announcer got his name wrong.
Well, yeah, it's. I was with him Friday night actually. Martin Godham.
He called him Paqueta.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Well, he does it every game, Sean. So
Does he?
you've obviously not been paying attention.
Well, I know that, but have you talked to Martin and say it's Paquetá?
No, but perhaps next time I'll speak to him.
No one seems to correct him. Maybe we're all saying it wrong. It is. Paqueta.
He's quality.
He looks
full of
quality, but I just thought he didn't have a
He's extremely
good game
hard working.
on
He's
Sunday.
combative.
He's got the lot, really.
Everything going on.
Yeah.
And once he gets acclimatised to this league, he's gonna do really well.
Yeah.
And I'm with Len about he could play alongside Rice. I would like to see him play alongside Rice, and then they squeeze in Skamaka and Antonio.
Do you know, I'm happy for him not to play. I'm happy for there to be two defensive central midfielders. You could drop Souček, put Fornals in there. And do you know what? That might give Paquetá more space to operate.
Yeah.
You know, like the old days with Trevor. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to allow him to express his ability, because he is by head and shoulders the most technically gifted player that we've got at the moment.
Yeah. But what's his name's got some skills about him, and he's got Skamaka.
Yeah.
He's starting to be able to hold the ball up. And
so
3 games ago, let's just get it. 3 games ago, yeah, Moyes out was the cry.
Yeah.
3 games ago.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, it just shows you.
So was he right to take Skamaka off on 80 minutes and replace him with Antonio? And forget about the goal, right? Was he right? Because my son said, no. He's going to take off Fornals and bring on Skamaka, and then you're going to have Antonio and Skamaka.
You can't bring on Skamaka for...
Sorry, bring on
Fornals.
Antonio for Skamaka. And I said, no.
The good thing about, the Skamaka goal was the sort of goal that you wouldn't see Antonio score.
Yeah.
And the Antonio goal was the sort of goal I don't think you'll see Skamaka score.
No.
So having the two of them around...
As a super sub and interchanging is good.
Yeah,
I mean, you could say
like to see them together
he was saving his legs for 10 minutes so he can start again on Thursday.
Yeah. I think he'll start with Antonio Thursday.
Emerson came on for Paquetá on 84. I don't know what 6 minutes makes a difference, although obviously it was 5 minute extra time, so it was 9. I don't know if he's given a little bit of time to Emerson or he's just trying to put minutes on the clock. Because at that point, obviously, we hadn't scored. And then Dawson came on. Downs came on for Fornals on 93 again, probably just running down the clock. What do you think of Fornals? He gets a lot of grief from a lot of people.
Do you want to me?
Yeah, anyone.
Well, I think he's hard working, but with that hard work, especially down the left-hand side when there's a bit less room, sometimes I don't know. I like him personally, and I think Moyes
I
likes
do
him.
as
And
well. I like him.
I don't think any player that we got can be, makes no mistakes. It can
He's
be totally
inconsistent,
immaculate.
isn't he?
Yeah, that's definitely that.
Well, we're up to 13th space on 10 points. Believe it or not,
Space.
13th space, a place on 10 points. The same as Everton, the same as
Liverpool.
Brentford, and the same as
Liverpool.
who's in 10th place. So, they've got a goal
I don't
difference
care.
better.
It's October.
I
October,
know,
Sean.
but we're only 5 points off 5th place.
Points make prizes.
Newcastle are in 6th, so they think they've won the league, talking to them. And Brighton are obviously on 14 points as well. I'm sure they're 4, by the way. But look, it just shows you, as you were saying earlier, Moyes out, and now we're in 13th place and the same points as Liverpool in 10th place. So, the good news is we face Southampton. How many games have Southampton won in the last 6? Anyone? Or the last 7 even?
Is it none?
1.
Not one.
Well,
there you go then. That's about, here comes West Ham. There you go. That's
in the
about
last
right,
6, it's loss. They've lost 4. They won 1, lost 1. If he doesn't beat West Ham, I'm told he faces a sack. We did the same for Wolves, so we could get ourselves a reputation. But you're right, John. When we think we've got an easy game, they're the ones we usually get battered, aren't they?
Well, they knocked us out of the cup last year, didn't they, as well? And
it could be worse, though. You could be Nottingham Forest. I mean, 21 signings, including, what a favour. I don't think if we'd have signed Lingard, would we have got Paquetá? We won't know, but potentially not. They're lost, draw. And Lingard looks shit. I mean, he gave away a goal last. They've got 4 points. They took a massive gamble, and it seems to have failed spectacularly. And I'm not sure there's any way back. And of course, Leicester City know better. They've won only 1 of their last 6 games and lost the other 5, and they're on 4 points as well. So, a club that was being highlighted as winning the league and change things around have just slumped, haven't they?
well, there's reasons for that, Sean.
Well, FFP you're going to say and stuff like that.
Outside reasons and influences that happened. And
what, the guy dying in an
and
helicopter?
the son not so engaged. And
oh, really? I didn't know
lots of stuff goes on around.
Well, funny you should say that, because you told me, when I said, oh, well, how can we still have to go to football games on train strikes when Brighton didn't have to play? I was listening to Price of Football this week. Do you know the real reason? It wasn't historic between Palace and Brighton. Do you know what the real reason was, John?
No.
It was Freshers' Week that week, and the university own all the car parks for the stadium, and they wanted them for Freshers' Week. So the car parks, not only was the trains on strike, but the car parks were being used by all the parents from the university for Freshers' Week. True story, bro.
So Simon Jordan was wrong.
He was. And Wolves in trouble as well. I mean, again, Wolves were challenging for the top 6 a few years ago, and they're on 6 points. So it's it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, but you're gonna get a lot of teams that do that, and I think Wolves have panicked a bit in sacking their manager.
Yeah,
I agree.
As early as he did. So. But in a way, when he got sacked like Moyes, he'd had a bad finish to the previous season, and bad start to this season. They coupled it all together. But
Anyway, let's talk about some news stories on 6'2". The first one, John's going to talk about. John, why were we in the paper? Why were you and I, our mate Gary, and a chap called Martin in the Guardian and the Daily Mail this week?
Well, the fact that you've put it everywhere else is news to me.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're not on social media anyway, so
No.
you would never know.
For a bloke that tells me every Monday night to stop living in the past, when it's about you, you get a fucking hotel for a fortnight there, don't you?
Well, no, John will tell the story. John, how did the picture come about? And
well, we were going to football and we got asked if we could take a picture.
1983, right?
And we said, what's that for? And he said it was a magazine called ID Magazine. We're doing a thing on football fashion. And he
Green
sort of
Street, wasn't it?
He wanted you free because you had Pringles on and I was stood on the side.
Why would you not wear a Pringle? Go on, tell us why you would wear a Pringle.
Because I was into different things than you.
Well, you
at the
didn't.
time.
You didn't like following other people at the time, did you?
I was just.
boys, can I just tell you, yeah?
Yeah.
Trevor Williams says, look like a bunch of girls going to a Bros concert.
I've been called Zoe Ball because John's not on Facebook, so he doesn't know all these things. We've been called Duran Duran. We've been called all kinds of things. And apparently, me wearing my scarf on my wrist was not the dumb thing in the time, John.
Well, yeah, but you didn't do the things that were done things in the time, and you still don't, do you?
No,
You've never been quite right in the head.
Anyway,
John Williams says, Sting on the left, the other Bee Gees in the centre, Stuart Copeland and probably his brother Miles Copeland is behind.
yeah. But
I just look like I'm either off my tits or because
you do look like you're off tits. But let me tell you, right? So
this is my favourite, Roger Stringer. That's my old mates from school in Chessington, but only one of them supports West Ham.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What
one's that? Because Johnny Booty supports West Ham, Sean.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Roger used to be in my class.
Yeah, Roger doesn't really know. I didn't know him at the time either. So
Yeah, so Roger I know because he was in my class at school, but he's Corinthian Casuals now. He's the leader of the gang and the Corinthian Casuals.
The Jeffrey
Bill.
Dahmers United, says Jamie Madden.
Bill Gardner.
Yeah.
Neil Essen says Zoe Ball on the left. I think that's you on the left there,
Yeah,
Sean.
it is.
Do
you like the shoes? Did you like
my
the shoes?
favourite comment? Yeah, you was just going to get my favourite comment was on the West Ham site who said they ain't West Ham because no self-respecting West Ham fan in the 1980s was walking around with footwear like that. And it was funny because the first thing I noticed was the footwear.
I had zip-up shoes.
I actually thought,
They were like winkle pickers.
well, I was wearing, even though I'm no fashionista, because I still wear Reebok classics, but I was into my Reeboks back then, so never wore shoes to football, especially ones where I could see me socks, lads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the story to this is the guy, John Ingledew, is a Chelsea fan who was a photographer with an £80 Pentax and Pentax, is it? Tax camera that Pentax took photographs just by asking people in the street, and he must have asked us. He's putting an exhibition for the Museum of Youth Culture, of which we're in, and he's produced a limited edition. But today, I spoke to John. I approached him and I messaged him on Instagram, and I said, "Look, that was us. We're the Pringle Boys. Any chance?" Yeah, I did, and I gave him the story. We're the West Ham Pringle Boys. And
once you pop, you just can't stop.
Yeah, and he very kindly, he's going to send us each a print in the next week. So
I thought you were going to reenact it.
No.
Yeah,
well, do you know
then
what?
and now.
John,
that'd be better.
If we went, it was in Green Street, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was on the way.
That don't look like Green Street to me, boys.
It was down the south on the way into the south.
I'd
bank.
think that's Castle Street.
Oh, it could be. You're right. It is Castle Street.
I think it was
yeah.
the bit down.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit down towards the south bank.
Where was the south
down by
bank?
the supporters club.
Yeah.
That's the wall.
Yeah,
I know the thing, but when I looked at it, I thought, oh, they've got you outside the support. Because behind the south bank, I don't think the wall was like that. Though it may have been.
Yeah,
because that was the car garages.
Right, it was close to the South Bank because
Yeah.
we were South Bank boys at the time.
Yeah.
We used to. I was talking to someone, John, if you remember this. It was 30p We used to get a bus from Chesington, 65 all the way to Richmond.
The district line.
And then we used to get the district line all the way from Richmond to
Took
up
about
to
an hour and
Park.
a half.
It took us about 3 hours, didn't it? Total. And do you know what? You could buy a red Rover Pass. Do you remember the red Rover?
Yeah,
Pass?
30 pence.
30 pence. And
Yeah.
and you could buy one of them, and they would be accepted on the underground and on buses.
Dylan Jones says the bloke on the right didn't get the memo.
He was never a follower.
I've been told by my kids have said that someone just said, I'm going for a sex change or something like that.
Chris Murphy says the lad on the right is going through changes. Right, hold
See,
up.
John, you miss all this not being on the. Anyway,
John Martin says George Michael, Princess Diana highlights were in back then, but the guy on the far right looks like he got bored waiting, so went in the pub for the top shit.
well, I think he did. He sort of go. They said we want to take a picture of you. He was like on the because we had
not
Pringles,
interested.
and he was going. I'm interested.
I think you look cool, John. I think you look like young Iggy Pop.
Thank you.
I've seen one that said
Anyway,
called
moving
you
on.
Bob Geldof.
Moving on. If you want to read
I was
it,
a big Echoes and a Bunny fan at the time.
Yeah.
there's a link in the Facebook group, Facebook more than podcast. You'll see the links to the Guardian.
Your
and
skin looks good, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not sure about this scarf. I'm right with the people. Never wore a scarf tied to my wrist either.
I don't know why I was doing that. John had one around his neck in his.
That's how I had it.
Anyway, a little bit news. Apparently, headline today. Let's see if you can get it right. West Ham look for a new manager. Anyone?
Under 23s.
Under 23s. Ricky Martin has resigned and is going to Stoke as director of football. So we're looking for a new under 23 manager. Anyone?
He's gonna look for. He's gonna live the vida loca.
Yeah. Next one.
Doing Stoker.
David Moyes wants to employ his old mate.
Oh, that sounds fucking likely.
Oh, this is the chief scout.
Yeah. Who is it?
Doherty.
Yeah, Mick Doherty. So, according to Alan Nixon, Mick Doherty. Although, we've asked some people in the club and they're not so sure. Little bit of London Stadium news. So, call me sad, but I watched the London Assembly plenary last Thursday.
Call you many things.
And Lynn Gardner, the CEO of the London Assembly plenary meeting. It's where they were talking about the legacy of London Olympics and what was it like. And Lynn Gardner, the CEO of the London Legacy Development Corporation, who's in charge of the stadium, was there. Lynn Gardner.
Oh, okay.
Garner. And she was defending, and one of the people was called Keith Price, who's a West Ham fan, who's was questioning her, and the other one was Julie Pigeon, who's the Lib Dems, and they were giving her a hard time and said, "Well, what you're doing, you're losing 31 million," and of course she was going, "Well, it was a good deal for West Ham, bad deal for the taxpayer, but no one who made decisions was in the room. But globally, it's success because it brings in billions for the economy, and worldwide it's seen success." Then she was asked about the naming rights, and this is the classic. She said, "Well, we would sell them to West Ham for 4 million. Well, I spoke to West Ham afterwards, and they went, news to us. They never talked about that, and no, we don't want them. If they can't have sold them for 4 million in the last 10 years, what makes them think we can sell them at a profit of 4 million? Why would we take on the financial risk?" Although a very good friend of yours, Len, the one you say something out, will help them sell their rights if they ask.
Brady out.
And so I was also having a conversation about the long lease. They still have been no conversations, no talks, no negotiations at all about a long lease. No one's spoken to West Ham. It's not on the cards. It's not happening.
No one cares either.
And they were asked, well, it is, because if we did that, we'd be like City and we can control everything, control our own beer and catering and stewarding and everything.
Well, they can't do that. They've agreed contracts with everything else.
Well, there's always a way out of that. I mean, Vinci used to run it, but you can buy them out. So there is ways to do this. And they were talking to Pi Capital about this, John. So it is possible. But for whatever reason, when they were asked about this, they went, if we're minded to do it, we might talk to West Ham. They're incompetent. My best bit of it, and if you watch it, it's on 6'2", the whole webcast, is they went, well, we're not a commercial organisation, and we don't really understand like commercial enterprise, which is just saying we're incompetent. So it doesn't look like the stadium's going to be as anytime soon. And I hear in 2025, instead of just disbanding LLDC, the likelihood is they just rename it and probably change some of the chairs and the same people be in charge. But we'll see. And the last one is the wall's not moving, I hear. They're not going to do anything about
You
the wall.
said that, Sean.
I know that, but I was talking to certain people at the club about this, not the London Stadium people, which I did last time. And the last one, Beergate, and this is the best one, the price of beer, the club are still pursuing London Stadium about this. They're saying, not our problem, it's Delaware North. Delaware North have got the contract. They were supposed to follow the clause, and we're saying, we don't care, our clause is with you. I think London Stadium are going to sue Delaware North. It's all a bloody mess. It's all a bloody mess. Anyway,
There's no news.
No news. About our ex-West Ham employee statue story, Nigel.
What about it?
Well, what is it?
Bullshit, that's what it is.
No, it ain't bullshit.
Yes, it is.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
You can't prove it's bullshit, and they can't.
Well, you can't prove it's fucking true either.
No, well, no.
Well,
but-
I've had a word with a guy, and I'm leaving it there.
Go on.
All right, so-
What's that? Go
so
on.
Basically, statue was unveiled outside Plymouth Albion football ground of Jack Leslie, who was a player in the 1920s and 30s for Plymouth, star striker for them, scored loads of goals. I think he was their first black player as well. Now, Jack interested me when I look back, blimey, it was like 6-7 years ago, because he came from Canning Town. So the first time I come across him was I was looking at footballers that come from Canning Town, and Jack came about. And then you read about him, and there's a little footnote about him being picked for England in 1925. And the story goes is that his manager called him in, and Plymouth were Division 2 or 3 back then, but England was picked by committee, not by there was no England manager at the time. So the manager had called him in and informed him, you've been picked in the England squad to play Ireland. Now, on Monday, when the squad was put in the newspaper, Jack's not in the first squad. He's in the reserve squad. And then the claim is made that it was done because they realised he was a man of colour. He was basically black.
Why is Len arguing this?
Now,
Go
well,
on.
this is the
Because
thing.
he's never told anybody that.
Right,
Oh,
well,
right.
They've
right,
only-
this is the thing.
This
yes.
is only a theory since he's been dead.
All right.
Well,
okay.
no, that's
they've
not
gone to
true,
a-
Glenn.
No,
That's not true because they've found a 1978 interview with him, believe it or not. The Daily Mail did it, where he sort of alludes to it. But the thing is, Jack possibly was a private man and basically never told anyone. Now, Jack was the boot boy at West Ham for near enough 20 years, from the mid-60s to the early 80s. And I put a video up 6-7 years ago of him retiring in 1982,
Yeah, we've
aged
all seen
80.
it, yeah.
So it was a thing. But the thing is, all the players, and Len probably backs this up more because he speaks to them more than I've ever done, say he never told anyone. He never told anyone that story.
Well, maybe he just didn't want people to know.
Well, no, and this is the thing. But the only thing is that it's
a
gone
bit
down.
like another story we haven't told.
Yeah, but
about the
I know.
Sheffield
Yeah,
incident.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to poo-poo it, and I get where Len's coming from, and this is the thing, because when you look at it, his manager could have got it wrong. He may have been in the reserve team, reserve call-up, because his name was in the England squad as a list of reserves.
Yeah.
How do we know the manager didn't get it wrong?
Well, it could have done.
So,
There's a lot of different
But what's
answers.
happened
Does
is
it matter about
the
the
question
story
is-
now?
No, but what
No,
happened-
not now.
Great,
But
isn't it?
when you go
Yeah, I think
from
it
an
does.
urban myth
yeah.
to a statue in like 0 to 60, like in moments, this is all started in lockdown. If you don't mind,
Yeah.
So this,
It was-
this
well,
question,
no,
we want a statue.
it was just
That's
before
very
lockdown. It was
strange.
2019. It was 2019 it started.
All right.
And they got 40 quid of my
Well,
money.
let's
And I was
let's let
pleased
out-
to do it, mainly
I
because
heard
not
a-
because
I
Jack
heard
was
about it on the radio,
yeah.
and they were saying
Simon Jordan told you.
it was probably that's the only bit of it I'll ever listen
Yeah.
to. And they were saying that they interviewed someone about it, and he was saying he wasn't picked because of.
Yeah, but this is what's happening is this is the Plymouth fans that have set up this campaign, and but this is the thing, you know. Jack, as he said, never spoke about it. When you go back to the evidence, there's nowhere, no one is alive from the area to go. Well, we didn't put him in. We dropped him because he was black. So he's
Even to
told
be fair
by
to the
his
club,
football
they
manager.
said it in their post as well.
Yeah. And this is the thing. He was told he was picked for England by his manager. It was called in after the game on Saturday. Now, and this is the thing, how do we not know the manager got it wrong? He's in fault because you never got a letter to say you were picked for England.
No,
it was your club manager.
Went to the club.
To the club. And, you know, no one's produced a telegram.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't want
It's-
to
I-
diminish the family or whatever. It's
No,
their
it's-
story.
No,
Look,
You
he's
know,
got
but
his
there's
statue.
I mean, we can.
I like things to be correct, though.
Yeah.
No
He's
one's-
he
look.
seems like a lovely old soul. This
Yeah.
this fella. When I spoke to the players, and he spoke to all the players and encouraged them, and it's. I feel like, and obviously I don't know him, but our Jack has been hijacked. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Another story about a player who never talks about it, but we know it, and Nigel wrote a story. Tony Carr. Nigel, your story.
Oh, it's not my story.
Snubbed by the club.
Snubbed by the club. Yeah, it's a often repeated scenario now. It seems.
It is. Yeah, I
With
know.
the way
this.
the club treats ex-employees, people that have served
And
the club
players,
well.
not just employees,
Yeah,
but
but
players.
hold up, and I'll put it in. You know, I don't just write 150 words, as you know, Sean. I like to put a bit of meat on the bone.
160.
Well, whatever. But at the end of the day, I do point out that if you know, in the show, we went to Len's show Friday night.
Oh, was
in
it your
Romford.
show, Len?
Well,
No.
it wasn't his show. It was-
No, it was my film set, but
Yeah,
it was someone else's show.
So it
Yeah.
was bits and pieces. But anyway, so there, Tony was there. He did a brief part with Patsy Holland because him and Patsy Holland played youth football together.
Yeah.
But then it is put out when Tony's introduced that at one point in 2010, 7 of the England first team players had been coached by Tony. Now, bearing in mind, Tony only coached youth football at West Ham. Yeah. So this is what he'd done. And if you just take into the fact that he's appointed chief of the youth development just before the academy was set up. So the academy started in 98. I think it was 96, 97. He gets made up. Ronnie Boyce is let go. Tony Carr gets made head of academy. If you look at the players that came through, the Joe Coles, the Rio Ferdinands, Frank Lampard Jr., Glenn Johnson. Look at the money we sold. Michael Carrick, Defoe.
Yeah.
Look at the money we sold them for.
I know who's behind this, and I know who put a stop to it when she joined.
So,
Yeah.
well, at the end of the day, yeah. So at the end of the day, but this is a big own goal because what it does is, they don't even. But I'm not saying put him in the director's box, even though actually I think he probably could deserve it. Yeah, and don't make him work for the money either. Don't make him trawl round the shaking the hands of those that want to throw £500-600 in the pot. You know, give him a couple of tickets so he can take his son or family member to a game when he wants to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I make you right. And look, not everyone can get it that played for West Ham, but I know another story, and I think I've said this before. Eddie Borrington, right?
Yeah.
And he was obviously in 1964 squad. He
Wasn't in the squad, Sean. He played.
all right, played. He
One of only 33 players to win an FA Cup winners medal for West
never
Ham.
really had any money from football. He doesn't live. He's not the most wealthy in his retirement. And all right, they do invite him to a few games to parade him out, but most of the time he has to rely on handouts. And you'll probably know our good friend BSB has often got him a ticket free of charge.
Yeah.
And people buying beers. And I think that's so demeaning, where he's one of the heroes of West Ham. And he should, as one of the few remaining people of 1964 that, he should be able to get a ticket any time he wants to see West Ham.
Well, look, I mean, there's probably ex-professional. I mean, we've not had 1,000 players yet play for us. So probably still alive, we're in the 300, 350 mark, maybe. Maybe 400. In a stadium that size, you could give every ex-player a ticket if they wanted to every game.
As someone said, the YouTubers don't seem to have any problem getting free tickets.
Well,
I said that.
You said that, didn't you?
Yeah.
But this is the thing, Sean, isn't it? We all know what the club value.
Social influencers.
Which makes no fucking difference to the club at all.
No.
When you've got a real life winner like Mr. Carr.
Yeah. Anyway, West Ham do the right thing.
So watch this space, people, because if he doesn't get a season ticket, I think the cry will get louder.
I think that's it, because you're saying we can't talk about the Shenfield incident and the person, can we, really?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right, fine. Maybe in the future, if he decides to talk about it. Let's do predictions. And then, obviously, we've got another episode coming along soon for question time, where unfortunately John and myself are going to drop off, and you've got the gruesome twosome.
Unfortunately, John will drop off.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to listen back to the next episode, and you're just going to give me grief, aren't you, boys?
You bet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's do predictions. John, Anderlecht at home, Southampton away. I'm going to both. Get me.
Yeah, of course.
I could still get your ticket, by the way. Oh no, you're doing something else on Thursday.
I am doing something on Thursday. And Anderlecht, we will win 1-0.
Ooh.
And Southampton, we will draw 2-2.
Ooh. Len.
I think we'll draw with Anderlecht. I think it'll be a crap game. We're at home, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that might fizzle out. I think they've seen what we can do. We think we can just turn up, and I don't think a lot will happen. So I'm gonna go 1-1, possibly a 0-0, but I'm gonna go for 1-1. And sorry, what's the Premier game?
Southampton away on Sunday.
Another 1-1. How about that?
Oh God. Shedman.
I think we'll beat Anderlecht 2-0. And Southampton can be tricky. I may go I think they're going to fight. So I'll go for a 0-0 like last season's league game.
Okay, that leaves it for me.
You're putting it that way. That's what I do. I win.
So he wins. So I should have used that earlier. I meant to use that jingle earlier. Someone's gone for 1-0, someone's gone for 2-0, so I can't use that. I'm going to go for 3-0 against
Use what you like.
I don't like to double it up. And I think we can win a tricky one, but 1-0 away at Southampton. Imagine that. When's the last time we won 5 back-to-back games or 3 back-to-back games in the Premier League?
We've done it regularly. I think we did it last. Blimey, Sean. We just finished 6th and 7th. I think at some point we'd have won 3 games on the trot.
Well, what is it? How many is it? We've
What
won.
do you mean? How many is it?
Well, how many games? If we include the European games. Oh no, because we lost against.
No, we've lost against Everton. So we've won 5 out of the last 6. What we don't do is draw.
No, we don't. We win or lose. You're right. I can't remember the last draw. Exciting. Goals are fun, mate.
You're putting it that way. That's what I do. I win.
If you're going to put it that way. Anyway, that's it for episode.
Really should use that in better times, in better context. There's nothing there.
What?
Oh, dear.
You're putting it that way. That's what I do. I win.
He does
fair,
win.
John. To be fair to him, that people may not realise that comes from his first press conference
Played it
after
last week,
becoming the
didn't I?
manager again for the second time. So pretty bold. I remember laughing at that. I must
I
admit.
made the
we all
whole.
did.
I didn't
interview
think
last
he
week.
was, it's like, I win. And you think, well, you didn't frigging do it at Man United or Sunderland,
Yeah.
mate,
Or
did you?
Sunderland, no.
Anyway, that's all we've got time for this week. We'll be back next week, I'm sure. I've been Sean. John has been.
Well, pleased to know that I'm an internet sensation.
Yeah, you are.
You
Len has
are.
been.
You're a viral.
Yeah, they're going to be memes soon. There will be memes.
Yeah,
Len has
I look
been-
forward to the cartoon.
Working hard. That's what I've been doing.
And Chef
Working
Man has
hard.
been.
Like,
Come on, you Irons.
Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast. Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast.
You're putting it that way. That's what I do. I win.